Hey there, as a working mom, does self-care give you guilt? I know for me, whenever I hear people talk about you need to give self-care, I'm like, okay, another thing on the to-do list, self-care, self-care, self-care. But then I think, what is self-care? I mean, what does it actually mean? I mean, I have these ideas in my head that self-care means getting a massage or going to get my nails done or going to the salon or sitting in a bubble bath and reading a book. And while those things all sound lovely, they don't necessarily fit into my schedule, and then it feels like I'm failing because now I'm not providing self-care. And I get it. We need that break. We need to be able to refuel ourselves as a working mom. But I want to give you a truth today that might help cut some of the guilt that you might be feeling, or just, cut some of the icky feelings that you might feel. Because I bet if you look at self-care the way that I'm going to talk about it here in a minute, you are doing more self-care than you actually realize. All right, you ready? So this is one of the articles that we had in our May lifestyle guide. For those of you that don't know, our lifestyle guide is a monthly guide of tips and inspiration that comes out inside the Your Life Rocks app. It's a completely, totally free resource provided to you, and you're basically going to get tips and inspiration for all 8 areas of your life that we talk about. So there are articles in there that talk about your faith and how to grow in that, your marriage, parenting, career, health, home, finances, and even some friendship tips in there too. Now, this is on the health side. So this is our health tip or health article that we had for the month of May in our lifestyle guide. So I want you to just ask yourself this question. How do you define self-care? Like, what does that mean for you? I already shared with you a little bit of what it means for me, but what does it truly mean for you? When you hear that word, when you hear people saying you need to have self-care, what comes up for you? What images are popping up that you think this is what that means for me? Now, I want you to think about this question. If I say, how do you take care of your child, your son, your daughter? You're going to talk to me probably about the way that you make sure that they have healthy meals, that you make sure that they go to sleep on time, that they bathe, that they have responsibility, that they know that they are loved, that they know that Jesus loves them, that they do their homework, that they do their chores, right? You're going to make sure that they are growing into a well-rounded human being, because we're raising adults and not children, right? These are the things that you do to care for your child, to make sure that they stay safe, to make sure they get exercise and go outside every once in a while and not stare too much at a screen. Now, if that's how you care for a child, how do you care for you? That's all self-care is. And this paradigm shift of realizing that when I make sure I go to bed on time and get enough sleep, that I make sure I get outside and get some exercise, that I make sure I eat some healthy meals, that I take a time out when I need to, that I apologize when I did something wrong, that I make sure I'm always learning, I'm making sure that I have time with God, and all of the things that help me build a strong character. That is when I realized how important self-care is and how much of it I'm already doing and not giving myself any credit for it. But truly, that's what self-care is, right? It's us being able to care for ourselves in a way that refuels us, that fills our bucket so we can continue doing all of the amazing things that God has called us to do. So inside of the article, I give you some tips that if you want to take your self-care up a level or two, that you want to really dial in a couple areas, here are some ways that you can do that without it adding to extra budget money or extra time away from your family or work or all of the other things that you're doing in your life, okay? So number 1 is to do a quick personal assessment. If we have needs that are going unmet, they can start to get amplified and amplified and amplified and amplified, right? So take a quick assessment. Do you need to go to the salon? Do you need to go get your hair done? Are there things that for basic upkeep that you just need to get done? Maybe it's even going to the doctor. Because knowing that in the back of your head that you need to do those things, but then not actually doing them, it starts to cause stress and anxiety without you even realizing that you're having stress and anxiety about those things. So if you are meticulous about making sure that your kids get into the dentist, they get into the doctor when they need to, all of those things, you gotta do the same thing for you, my friend. And you see me looking down because I actually have the app open and I'm reading through the tips to make sure I don't forget anything for you. Number 2 is to really think about what it is that you're doing in the morning. Sometimes we need to have inspiration. Sometimes we need to make sure that we're learning something new. And this is a great time to think about throughout your day, where can you bring in audiobooks? Where can you bring in podcasts? Where can you bring in other ways of bringing in that content, watching these YouTube videos to have that inspiration, to have those tips. Now, there is something to be said for quiet time. At least a couple times a week, I make sure that when I'm driving to work or driving home, there's nothing, no music, no podcast playing in the background, no nothing, but it just gives me time to think and to process my own thoughts. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough white space or our margin in our schedule and in our life to do that. So be sure that you're scheduling that margin in your life as you're doing that. But look at those opportunities where you can really refuel, where you can learn, where you can kind of stroke those things in your life that are bringing passion for you, and find a way to incorporate that. And one of my favorite ways of doing that is through audiobooks. And Audible is a sponsor for Your Life Rocks. You can go to yourliferocks.com/Audible or click the link down below and you can get your first audiobook for free. So pretty good deal and a great way to start giving some more self-care to yourself. Next is to really focus in on how you're eating. What things are you putting in your mouth? You know, our diet plays such a huge role in our energy levels, the way that we're feeling about ourselves, our hormonal and emotional balance. So take an inventory to really think, how can I clean up my eating? What am I eating? What effects am I seeing from that? And just really make sure that you're dialed in. Now, like I said, this article is going out in May, and I'm always looking for opportunities of ways that we can take advantage of what's right in front of us to get to where we want to go. And summer is right in front of us right now, and that is a great opportunity to dial in for our health because things are a little bit more relaxed. Food tends to be more naturally healthy, and there's a plethora of fruits and vegetables all out there for you. So take advantage of that this summer and really dial into your health goals, dial in to your eating plan and what is going in your mouth. And last but certainly not least, my favorite way of incorporating self-planning into my life is through planning. So it is through my daily planning, my weekly planning, especially my weekly prep. Being proactive about what's going to be coming up ahead so I can be successful in all that God has called me to is really, really important. It helps cut out the stress and so much more. And in fact, in this video right here, I'm going to walk you through all of the steps that you need to set yourself up for some strong weekly planning. See you in the next video.